Unreal Engine 5.3 preview is now out, and top of my list of things to check out were the VDBs that are now native inside Unreal. Now, I found a lot of gotchas and little secrets, including how to get those ever-elusive highlights on the wispy parts of clouds. Let's jump in. Shout out to the man, the legend Winbush, who put out an amazing video about how to get them set up and running, and of course the OG Thibault Lambert. His Twitter post lay the groundwork to this all, and so I've been able to just explore. So all we have to do is source a VDB and build a material that samples that VDB. My favorite clouds I bought in a pack from the Pixel Lab, and Jenga Effects, who make Embergen, generously have quite a few animated VDB sequences up on their website for download. Both links are in the description. So once we have our VDBs, just drag them into Unreal, leave the settings as default, except if you are trying to just import one VDB that isn't an animation. Just make sure you haven't got that ticked, and click Import. Then, depending on the size of your VDB, just wait, and wait a bit more. Unreal is converting it into what is called Sparse Volumetrics Texture, or SVT, which is just a really smart way of representing volumetric data where you don't have to store the data where there isn't any data. Yeah, it's above my pay grade, like a lot of things. Once that's imported, check out the third link in the description. There is a link to Blueprint UE, which is this amazing website which I've talked to you about, where you can basically just copy and paste like blueprints from UE to the browser and vice versa. And before you paste it, just make sure your new material is in the volume domain and set to additive blend mode, and then you can paste it straight in. All you need to do now is connect it up as referenced in this comment up here. Scattering color goes to albedo. The black body from temperature goes to the emissive color. And down here, the density just connects up to the extinction. Okay, we're going to really quickly talk through this material, and we're going to start with the input SVT node. Just before I was about to publish this video, Thibault actually got back to me on Twitter about why this is set to be a parameter. He uses them so that you can have control in the material instance anyway, but by a happy accident, the parameter node actually works with animated VDB sequences, whereas the non-parameter node does not. Go figure. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to select this and then drag in your sparse volume texture into this input SVT node right here directly in the material. You can't actually do it when we make it into a material instance. It might work in some cases, but it didn't work for me. So I've just dragged it directly in to here. So you can see that this material takes in some UVs based off the local position and the object local bounds. That's just basically turning the extents of the object into a remapped 0 to 1 on the XYZ and then feeding it into the input SVT. I could imagine over here in the position, a fun experiment might be adding curl noise to distort where the SVT is sampling from. So when it takes in these XYZ UVs, that's just telling the input SVT where to sample the attributes from, and it is outputting it just through attributes A. So that's a quick gotcha. If your VDB has more than just the base density attribute, it's probably packed into attributes A, and you're going to want to mask it by channel to be able to get density, temperature, etc. Of course, please let me know in the comments if that's wrong. Now, up here is the temperature section, which has a bunch of parameters to let you scale it as needed, convert it to black body, and then boost it again before it goes to emission color. Down here is the density section, which is just the attribute density with a scaling multiplier. I've added this hacky little section where I've multiplied it by another color, kind of to get sort of absorption going. This is actually something I wanted to ask the community about. If you know of a better way of doing absorption or come up with some other fun experiments, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And please like, subscribe, bell, all of that fun stuff as well. So that's the material. And that's our two things. We have our VDB and we have our SVT testing material. But what do we do now? Well, we need this. One sec.
How do you go about pronouncing it? heterogeneous.
You need a heterogeneous volume. So just drag one of those in, and as you can see, I've got like quite a few in this level. What we're going to do is we're going to right click on your material that you've just made, create a material instance of it, and then drag that onto your heterogeneous volume. These are the settings that I have put in for these clouds. You can see I've got my black body multiplier. The density is fairly low using the clouds from the cloud pack. Down here are some colors that I've used for the maybe absorption and the scattering color as well. The real secrets though are in the actor and light details. So if you just quit out of here, have a look on all of your heterogeneous volumes. And if you click on all and just scroll down to where it says lighting, make sure all of your step factors are set to 1. And that got rid of the nasty banding that was happening when I had lights in the middle of the clouds. So speaking of lights, I've just got a directional light, a point light, and a rectangle light in the scene. The directional light is providing this main sort of like side lighting, and the point light is in the middle of the cloud producing that glow, and the rect light is just providing a bit of pink uplighting there as well. Fairly simple setup. So on each of these lights, what you're going to want to do is come down to the details panel and type in volume. You want to cast volumetric shadow on all of them, because without it, you can see that it produces this, flat glow. With it on though, we suddenly have shape and form to our clouds. As a quick aside, I have a bunch more videos coming out soon, so make sure that your subscription is set to all so that you're notified when they get released. Now, I did promise you the secret to those amazing wisp highlights. You've seen it already. It's this volumetric scattering intensity. It seems to be the magic slider that really brings out those highlights that I've been missing in the Volumetrics and Unreal. But yeah, have fun with clouds and the other cool stuff in 5.3 preview.